Hello and welcome to the Full Advisor Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Kristin Herod. And today I'm excited to welcome a colleague of mine, someone who I've gotten to know over the last few years. So we've had a number of conversations. You may have heard us on his podcast where I've had the pleasure of being a guest twice. Today I am welcoming David DeCelle, and he is a former financial advisor. And now for the last few years, and he'll fill us in on how long, he's the CEO of Model FA, which is a world-class consulting and marketing company for growth-oriented financial advisors. So, David, welcome to my podcast. Finally, I know I've had the pleasure of being on the Model FA, so I'm happy to have you here.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and I'm excited about it. It's been cool just with you and I to build the relationship that we have built, and just quick shout out to Berkshire Money Management and Alan Harris, because that's how we first had the opportunity to meet. And without that common client that we had, we may not be here today. So big thank you to Alan.
Yeah, definitely a thank you to Alan and his team there. Yes, David is someone I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and call to get advice from if I need it on the business front. So, and remind me, David, how long have you been leading the charge at Model FA?
Yeah, so I was a financial advisor for 7 years. And I've been in consulting for the last, I think we're at 8 years now. And then actually at the helm, so to speak, at Model FA for the last 3 years. So you nailed that one.
Yeah, great. Wonderful. So today I want to talk about something that I know trips up advisors a lot. And it's those, I'll say, sales conversations, even though I really mean it more of like the relationship conversations that people have as they're doing business development, as they're attracting in right fit clients or right fit prospects, I should say. I really want to dig into some of the language that advisors can use and some of the techniques and strategies that you teach when you're doing coaching to help advisors who might have a little anxiety or angst, or just they haven't had the experience yet to be able to help shepherd a prospect through the process to get them to sign on the dotted line.
So there's actually a really good book about this topic written by, shameless plug, a friend of mine, Ivan Farber, and It's called Conversations. And what I really like about it is it's not just a book. It can serve as sort of a manual as well on how to manage conversations. So if you haven't come across that yet, I'd highly encourage the folks listening today to go scoop up that book. I think it's like $12 or something like that. So it's not too expensive. And what I would say is he had shared something with me that I was doing, but he explained it in a very simple way that makes it easy to remember. So first and foremost, social media leaves clues. So making sure that before you have a meeting with a particular prospect, do some due diligence, right? See if you can find them online. See if you can see if they are featured in an article or what their Facebook says they're into, or Instagram or whatever. And you're able to then weave certain topics into the conversation that you know could be pretty impactful and get them to light up. Because really, when you're in sort of think of when you go to like a networking event, and there's usually one or two people that have a lasting impression on you. And when you start to try to dissect that and understand why, it's really because they asked you great questions and had a genuine interest in getting to know you, and you did all the talking. So making sure that in that first meeting, you're doing a great job helping first set the verbal agenda at the beginning and say, hey, today I want to learn more about you, why you booked a meeting, what's top of mind, any pain points or opportunities that you have in front of you that we should be talking about. give you a little bit about our firm and a little bit about me as well. But really the focus is on you and just showing up to that conversation genuinely curious and actually giving a what about the person that's sitting across from you. It's easier said than done, but the questions just start to sort of appear to you when you're just hyper focused on getting to know them and building the relationship. With that said, I would say that if you're feeling this way, you're not alone. There's a client that I have, Dave, out of Seattle, and he runs a pretty legit firm. He has multiple team members. They're managing close to 600 million in assets. And we just recently went through his entire process from intro call to the final closing meeting where I was the prospect and he was the advisor because he hasn't revisited that. And I think he said like 6 years. And he was feeling that as well. So my point is if you don't feel like you're doing really good at this right now, you can still build a successful business while you're figuring it out. I would also say that anything, whether it's this or anything else that you're struggling with, there's an endless amount of books, YouTube videos, resources out there where if you really want to learn and you really want to get better, type in, top 10 relationship building books and read them all. And then the last thing before I pause is if you want to get better at talking with people, go talk to people.
Exactly.
Right.
That's I think that is one of the biggest things, like just practice talking to people.
And as uncomfortable as it could be, like when you're at the grocery store, at the gas station or places like that, like people that you would arguably never see again, like try to strike up conversation with them. And usually if you can find something in common or compliment them, it's a good opener. So I would, encourage you, like if you want to practice patience, well, do things that require patience. If you want to get better at relationship building, do things that require relationship building, like go and talk to people. You can't read your way or watch your way into a skill set. You need to take what you learned and actually implement it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, you've given me a lot to go on there. One of the first thing I want to say is recently I had Bill Cates on as well, and he talked a lot about relationship. I like that you're using the word relationship as well, rather than sales or how do we, convert and all of those various words that we use. From a, sort of academic marketing standpoint. And I'm guilty. I say that too, but it's really, everything is about building the relationship, right? With people from the first time you meet them all the way through to they've been a loyal client for years and years. Everything is about the relationship. So there are countless books and, it's fun to be a student of all of that. But I also like what you say about, being willing to get out and talk to people. So one of the other things you mentioned that I think is really interesting is how you do the research ahead of time when you're going to meet with someone. It seems so simple, and almost like we don't need to say it, but it's surprising to me how often advisors don't take that step. I'll talk to an advisor in a coaching session. They'll go, oh yeah, I have a prospect coming in this afternoon. I actually don't know where they came from or know anything about them. And I just want to be like, well, and we will do this. I was like, well, let's take a look. Look, first of all, look in your system, see where you found them. Where did they come in from? Did they fill out a form? Did they answer any questions? Have you looked up on LinkedIn where they might be? And I think finding those personal elements that you can bring in, whether it's where they went to school or if they reveal like something in their posts about a child who graduated or anything that you can sort of help bring out or light them up when you're chatting with them. I think it makes a huge difference. It's so easy. Frankly, it's a lot more fun to talk about, and it puts someone at ease. And I'm sure you see that as well.
Yeah, that and, let's say the person came from a client referral. Rather than just saying thanks to the client, hey, what should I know about them? How do you guys know each other? What are they into? What do they like to do? Stuff like that. So when you have the conversation, it's, hey, I was speaking with Kristin before this, and you guys go all the way back to high school, right? Boom. Now you're in conversation. And then you just have a conversation with them from there. But like having that opener is a good start. Or even, hey, I was doing some digging before this meeting in anticipation of getting together. Is your LinkedIn up to date? Are you still over at XYZ firm? Boom. Now you're in conversation.
Oh, I like how you said that. Is it up to date? Are you still, that's really good.
So you don't have to, say, hey, I noticed as I was deeply scrolling through your Facebook that 3 months ago your son graduated from college. You don't have to be weird about it, but like some of the surface level stuff that just opens the conversation.
Right. And you can just read their bio on the website too. That's a starting point. There's a lot of bad bios out there that don't really tell you anything, but hopefully one of them, you take a look at, you find them, you look them up on LinkedIn, you see where they work, you try to find a bio on them somewhere. I think it makes a big difference. It's funny because, we were just talking beforehand about how I have a teenage daughter, and I don't know if we're spilling the beans yet for you. So, David, your family, your time will come. And I was helping her put together a resume. She's never had, she's had some internship, but she's wants to get a summer job. And so I put a fun facts and interest section at the bottom. I was like, we got to put a fun facts at the bottom, like something interesting. She's like, why do we have to do that? That seems silly. That seems dumb. And I was like, I promise you, the interviewer will be so relieved because you will give them something interesting to ask you about. I was like, it's going to make you stand out because you're going to put something down there like she collects espresso cups. Her favorite musical is Kinky Boots, and she's seen it 8 times. Like, I was like, you want to put something in that someone's going to ask you about. And I was like, and the good news is it'll put you at ease because she's very nervous, very anxious about interviewing. She's like, what am I going to say? They're not going to like me. I was like, this will even help you because then you'll be comfortable. They're going to ask you. You're going to talk about something that's really exciting to you.
It's like stretching before you work out. Like it's just a little warm up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because it seems so rudimentary and you're kind of like, come on, it's like you're going to work at the coffee shop down the street. It's not that big a deal, but the angst is real, right? And half the advisors out there feel angst about that, about just any kind of interviewing a client, coming into a place where there could be, I won't say confrontation, but you're going to have to eventually ask them for the sale, if you will. So how is it that we can make that as natural and easy as possible? That's a huge, I think a huge obstacle that you can actually, the thing you said about, don't worry about getting it right away. You can still build a business while you're learning how to do this. It's not black or white. It's not like I can do this or I can't do it. And it makes or breaks you. There's iterations along the way.
Yeah. You never want, perfection to be the enemy of progress, right?
Yes, that's episode 9 of my podcast. We have that in there. So, and wouldn't you know it? It's like the most popular of all my episodes, which shocks me every time. Like I bring on all these wonderful experts.
Well, it's like
about
holding
all kinds
up
of
a
things.
mirror to someone. Sometimes they just need to see that like the problem is right there, right? I'm getting in my own way. And usually that's well received.
Yes. Yeah. No, I like the correlation to stretching before working out too. That makes a lot of sense there. I think another area where, so you have that first meeting, you're having that conversation, it's going really well. Then it's coming to a close. What do? That's where most advisors get tripped up. Like, suppose you only have a 1 consultation experience. Like, it's not like you have a multi-structured meeting where you're like, we go through 3 meetings, and at the end of the 3 meetings, you tell us if you're going to work with us. But, what if your first step is we have a call or a consultation? And then what?
Well, it's kind of, in a silly way, it's kind of like dating. So, when you're out dating and you're on the first date, like one of the most powerful things you can do towards the end is say, I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed this conversation. Like I've had a really good time with you. So that there's that affirmation, there's that the person you're sitting across from no longer needs to worry, like, did he like me? Is there going to be like, what does that, what is that next step? So, you may not use those exact words when you're in front of a prospect, but you may say, I don't know about you, but not only have I really enjoyed this conversation, but some of the things that we had discussed, throughout today, I really do believe we can help with. Now, I need to go back to the very beginning when you lay out the verbal agenda. You let them know, hey, and at the end of this conversation, the next step is, and then lay out what your next steps are in your process. And so what we can figure out towards the end today, directionally where you'd like to head and if you'd like to take that next step or not. Okay, so that's at the beginning of that first conversation. And then towards the end, hey, really enjoyed our time today. I appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable and letting me in on some of the things that are keeping you up and some of the things that you're excited about. I have the utmost confidence, at least based on today's conversation, that we can add a lot of value to your current situation. And with that said, I mentioned at the beginning, now you're going back and following through on what you said you were going to do. At the beginning of our conversation, we talked about our next step being X. Any reason why we wouldn't take that next step?
Oh, I love that.
And what you want to do, now what I did there was very specific though, where what's the first, and hopefully this works, it might not work. What's the first word your daughter learned?
It's probably dada.
Okay, well that didn't work. The point, the point is like a lot of what kids learn first is no.
Oh, yeah,
no.
True,
right?
true, yeah.
So it's our knee-jerk reaction since when we could first say words, right?
Right.
So what you want to do is throughout your process, you want the prospect's response of no to actually be a positive, because that's the first thing that they're most comfortable saying is no. So what I said there is any reason why we wouldn't take that next step. No, we should take that next step.
I like that. I heard the subtlety there, but I didn't connect it to the no. I really like that.
And people want to be led, and they don't know what the process is for a financial advisor. So just tell them what it is, connect with them throughout each step of the process, and then they naturally continue down the path and then become a client.
I think that is very helpful, especially if you can even have a visual that you introduce either even ahead of time or on your website or in the meeting where you're like, and here's, this is how it works. So it gives them something else to connect to. I do find that can be a useful prop almost. And it also gives confidence to the advisor to know that it's sort of a crutch, if you will, but it also is very helpful for the prospect in the room to have something to reference or look at. But I really like the negative option, as it were, there. Like,
Turn negative into a positive.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so they leave and they haven't done anything, and they say, well, we want to think about it, because that's what a lot of people do. Here's where I think you have the golden touch, if you will, on your follow-up. I love follow-up. Like, I talk and preach follow-up all the time, because I'm like, you're not selling shoes, right? It's not like people are walking out and be like, oh, I'll buy one, get one half off. How exciting. Yeah, sure. Throw the other pair on. If it's really good, you've closed them to come in for the next step or to take the next step. But, many times they go, oh, I'm going to sleep on it, but thank you. We really like you, David. This is really interesting. This is all new to us. They step away. What do you do next?
Well, there's a few different things. So if you're not already connected with them on the social media platforms that you have in common with them, do so. Because what they're going to do is they're going to scroll through your stuff and see what you're all about. And that hopefully, your profile is positioned in such a way to where, you'll build trust through that process, or at least more exposure so they feel like they know you better. Number two, I would send them a follow-up email immediately and say, hey, appreciate the time. I know you're in the midst of your due diligence, and I totally respect that. With that said, if I were in your shoes, when I meet with advisors, I would be curious about these questions. And I'd provide them a list of 5, 6, 7 questions. Are they a fiduciary? Do they have their CFP? Like all that type of stuff. What's their fee structure? And I would say, as you meet with other folks, I would encourage you to ask them these questions, so that you can have a well-rounded understanding as to how they compare with each other, and of course, how they compare to working with us. I would send that immediately after that meeting. But in that meeting, one thing I missed is you want to also ask them, great, totally get it. With that said, how much time do you plan your due diligence will take? Because I don't want my professional persistence to turn into a nuisance. So I actually just had this conversation with a prospect of mine that's coaching, marketing, all that type of stuff. And he needed to get another proposal from someone. So I did this exact process. And I said, how much time do you need? And he said, I need a month. And I said, okay, let's look at 4.5 weeks out, give you some extra days. I made a note. I forget the exact date, so I'm going to make this up. But I made a note for April 27th. That's when you'll hear from me again. Obviously, you can touch base with me sooner if you'd like to get together, or if you made a decision in a different direction. But as a stopgap, you'll hear from me then. And all I ask is that you let me know where you're at. If you need more time, let me know. If you'd like to get together, let me know. If you've gone in a different direction, let me know. Is that fair? Yeah, of course, that's fair. So now I've given myself an opportunity to follow through with what I said I was going to do. And if I reach out to them on that exact date, they're like, okay, David's a man of his word, and he follows through. I imagine that he'll follow through in other areas as well. And then in between that time, as a way to stay relevant, I'll think of something that we talked about in that meeting. Maybe it's a Roth conversion or education planning or whatever the topic is. And probably a week or two after that meeting, I'll send him another email. Hey, Kristin, I know one of the things that we had discussed, since last time, or in our last call, was X. I have this video that I shot a little while ago, or I found this article that I think you'd find really helpful on that topic. Would love to hear your thoughts, once you have a chance to check it out. And just so that they know that you're thinking about them,
right?
That goes a long way.
And you would do that in the interim of the, I said I'd contact you in 4 weeks and 3 days, but I'm sending this ahead. This is just me giving you information or something.
Value.
Yeah. Okay. Cause that's what I like to do. I love when I don't want my persistence to
turn
come off
into
as a nuisance. Yes. I have that written down, David. It's on my desk. And
that's awesome.
I'm not in that room right now where I would hold it up and show you, because, ever since I heard you say that, probably, I don't know, a year or so ago when you use that language, because it's a common thing where it's like, I pride myself on follow-up. I love it. I've gotten business. I know why it is so important. But you do get to that point of like, all right, how many more ways can I say? Are there any other questions I can answer for you? Or, well, where are you in your process? And so I do love that language. And I always love I try to encourage advisors to find something creative, or even have kind of that, the archive or the library of content that that you're going to pull out and be like, okay, this person was Roth conversion person. Let me pull up that video. Or, retirement, planning for your, second act in retirement, oh, well, let me give them this resource. So it's helpful to have some of those sorted and on hand.
And if in this example, you said that this prospect, hey, this is our first time doing this. So they don't know a ton about the industry. So by following up with them immediately after the meeting with a list of questions to ask the advisor that they're meeting with, the other ones, you're showing confidence of like, hey, ask these people these things. But then you're also empowering them to have a productive conversation on, I wouldn't have even thought to have, to ask that question. And they're going to look at you in a positive light as a result of that.
Right. Absolutely. A question here that just came to mind, and something that came up, but I was giving a presentation at a conference, and I was talking about follow-up and talking about some of the things we're talking about how important it is. And we talked about using, especially in say a Zoom first meeting, or, using AI or an AI note taker, and then taking that and being able to kind of play back to someone almost immediately, like specifics about their situation. I'm glad we were able to meet and talk about blah, blah, blah. I heard this is really important to you, blah, blah, blah. To what degree are you seeing that as effective for advisors? Are you recommending that? Where's AI following up in this process for you?
Yes. So, I think advisors need to lean the heck into AI. And a note taker is very much kind of table stakes at this point. So you probably have like templated follow-ups, or you should at least have templates of your various follow-up emails from particular meetings. But there's plenty of AI note takers out there in which natively they can build in the functionality to structure your follow-up accordingly, and you can have it call out specifics. I mean, I paid this AI company a good chunk of change to basically take the transcript from my note taker, and as soon as I get off a call, there's an email draft already in my inbox that's like 98% of the way there, maybe a tweak or two, and then I click send, so I save that time. We're also in the midst, a little teaser, developing an AI tool that has a bunch of different functionality. Should be released in 60 to 90 days of this recording. And one of the functions is it plugs into your social media, it plugs into your email, it plugs into your CRM, and it learns everything about your clients. And you get a weekly email that says, hey, these 7 clients, here's the reason why you should reach out to them. So-and-so's daughter just graduated college. So-and-so's team just won the Super Bowl. So-and-so's whatever. And then there's an email draft ready to rock for you to advance that relationship and be more diligent with building relationships. So you're not having this, oh crap moment, I haven't talked to so-and-so in 90 days. You have excuses to reach out to them in between because it learns all about your clients. So that's coming down the pike. But I think AI needs to, anything that is repetitive, or annoying, can probably be automated, and it allows you and the members of your team to elevate your role within the company to focus on higher level tasks. But yeah, AI needs to be a part of your business to augment.
And I was going to say, I appreciate that a note taker is pretty fundamental, but I think the connection is that, we can take that transcript and then let it handle the follow-up emails so that you don't get stuck on all right, I'm going to write that. It just takes a minute. I got to think through what did they tell me and how do we do it? It's like, put it in, let it handle, put an email out that says, hey, this dear, and to your point, there are ways to set that up and integrate it so it happens automatically. I still like to have a review before it goes out so it doesn't have like a glaring error in it, but
you
just
don't
the
want
draft
it to be sent out
though,
for you.
But the draft, I have had it where like people I'm on call. Like if I were having just a conversation with you, I might send the notes out after with a little, and automatically where you would say, hey, I haven't had a chance to look at this yet, but this is roughly what we talked about, or here's the transcript from our call, or here's the summary of our call. But with a client or a prospective client, putting that into AI, getting something that's a very, very accurate draft, and then fine tuning it, putting your own little spin on it and hitting send, the amount of time it'll, and worry. For me, I'm just, I love the conversation, but I know how essential the follow-up is, but I always spend more time on that than I really should, given the tool, the tools available. So for me, AI has been like, a lifesaver on that. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal.
And even things like in your note taker, you can ask it like, hey, it's been 2 weeks since I met with this person. Like, what are the key things I need to remember to bring up in my next conversation? And it gives you a punch list, almost like a brief.
Yes, I love that. That is so useful. And then you're like, you don't even have to spend that much time going back and be like, okay, let me remember, what did we talk about? How did that go? Why is that person different than the other person? Oh no, that was a different person who came in. So that makes a huge difference. This is super exciting, David. I could keep going. I know we have a lot we could cover. You and I can talk for days. I am curious if you want to share. I know you have some new things going on. You alluded to the AI, so that's exciting. I'll be waiting to see that. What else do you have going on over at Model FA or in your world that advisors might want to know about?
Yeah, so we have a few different like staple service offerings. So we offer one-on-one coaching. We offer marketing, like fractional CMO services, but then we're a full agency as well. So we do all the things too that the marketing plan is calling for. We have a new group coaching offering because our one-on-one is expensive.
Right.
And you probably need to have at least 150 million in assets to where one-on-one coaching makes sense from your revenue standpoint. But we recently launched a group coaching offering as well. It's complemented by our platform called The Exchange, which has an endless amount of content, and there's a community aspect to it as well. And it's way more cost effective for that offering. So if you just email me at david@modelfa.com, again, david@modelfa.com, I'm happy to chat with you and see which line of our service offerings, could make sense.
Okay, David, we'll have all that in the show notes too, so that everyone knows how to contact you. You have a wealth of information out and about. I know that. And I highly encourage listeners to have a conversation with David. If you have any questions, if you're looking for some help, whether on the group front or one-on-one or one of the myriad other options they have available. Now, David, this is a podcast about fulfillment, and I know we all love our work and we're very fulfilled by it, but what fulfills you outside of the office?
Well, I'll start inside the office first.
Okay.
So I love seeing advisors fall in love with their business again. And they fall in love with their business for two reasons, I think, anyways, in no particular order. One is they're in the midst of living up to their potential, and usually that is because of a second reason, which is you're growing, you're helping more people. So to help them fall in love with their business again gives me a lot of energy, a lot of psychological income as well. And then outside of work, it's always been a passion of mine to make sure my family's taken care of, and that has changed over the years. It's going to change here soon, where before it was taking care of myself and my cousins to now, wanting to take care of my parents and my wife. And then soon here in September, a baby girl that my wife Kennedy and I are welcoming into this world. So just making sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm
take care of the people.
Excited for you.
Appreciate that. We're just taking care of the people around us, and that could be with advice, that could be with getting someone out of a rough spot, it could be with providing experiences for people, which we love doing. So I'd say that's what drives me and where I get fulfillment is just making sure that the people around me that I care about the most have less worries because we're connected.
That's great. And I can say you're very generous with advice and help and support. And I appreciate that very much. Okay, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us today. David had a lot of great ideas here. I highly encourage you to reach out to him. And if you like the podcast, I highly encourage you to give it a review, tell your friends about it, share it. We always love to get more listeners out in the world. And if you'd like to reach me, feel free to go to fulladvisorcoaching.com. You can request a call in the upper right corner, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always out there hanging out, taking a look to have new connections. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I invite you all to go out and make it a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to Full Advisor Coaching, the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the follow button so you'll never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can become a part of the Full Advisor community, visit fulladvisorcoaching.com. Remember, stay connected and get notified as soon as brand new episodes release. Click the follow button now. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Kristin Harrod or Full Advisor Coaching.